leadership displayed by Jamani Williams, our public advocate, and all of our colleagues that are here. And I think the most significant aspect of this combined display of electeds across the political spectrum is a real indicator and reflection that even in areas of disagreement, when it's time to defend and uplift our city, we're able to set aside our political philosophies to come together and do the things that's best for the city of New York. That is a very significant level of political maturity that the body of political leaders across the city are showing, from the congressional level to our state level and our city levels, as we address the crisis that's in front of us. Three quick observations. Number one, the number of individuals who have entered our city, over 100,000. 100,000. I want you, when you leave here today, go Google other cities. Go look at what is happening in other cities as they deal with the crisis. New York City is receiving the overwhelming number, but even with the large volume we're dealing with the level of dignity and respect that human beings are deserved. You're not seeing that in other cities. Other cities have struggled. You're looking at tent cities with physical tents, structures, people sleeping outside. I went to visit the border in El Paso and made it clear that this is not what we were going to do as a city. Number two, New Yorkers, please don't turn against each other. Don't turn against each other. That is what the enemy wants. We cannot celebrate on Sunday and Friday nights and Saturday in our synagogues, our churches, our Buddhist temples, and our Sikh temples, and talk about how great our gods are, yet we leave and use a level of hateful tone and rhetoric. Don't be just a good practitioner or worshiper, be a good practitioner. This city is supposed to be displaying what the God-like spirit is. And it doesn't mean stating that we don't want those people. Because if you would sit down, close your eyes, and reflect on your ancestry, I don't care if you were Irish Americans coming here, if you were Caribbean Americans coming here, if you were African Americans migrating from the South, if you were Jewish, Polish, Indonesian, Chinese, everyone heard this same rhetoric that's coming from the body of hateful people. So history is going to ask, what side were we on during this very difficult time? So any conversation or tones of saying those people don't deserve here, every ethnic group in this country heard people say those people don't deserve here. Your grandmothers, mothers, and fathers, and even you was set the same tone at one time. Are we going to be part of those who are having that rhetoric, or are we going to be part of those that did for our families as we made the movement forward? This is not a New York City problem. This is a national problem. 100,000 people. Over $12 billion will be spent over a 3-year period. Those $12 billion are going to come from somewhere. It's going to come from our school services. It's going to come from our streets. It's going to come from what we provide to children, what we provide for those New Yorkers who are struggling every day, our housing populations, issues that we faced long before this. Yes, we've navigated COVID. Yes, we have a recovery in our jobs. Yes, we are dealing with the other issues the city faced coming out of COVID. But it's unfair as this city continues to evolve that a national crisis, a humanitarian crisis of a level that has never been experienced before is now dropped into the lap of this city with no support that we deserve. And what is more anti-American than not allowing someone to work? What is more anti-American than that? Everyone who has arrived at this country arrived with one opportunity, and that is to work. That is to be able to provide for your family basic needs. When I spent the night in the Humanitarian Relief Center in Red Hook and talked to the migrant asylum seekers, they were very clear. We don't want your free food. We don't want your housing. We don't want your clothing. We don't want you doing anything for us. We want to work. We want to work. When I went to the Roosevelt Hotel and spoke to the African diasporas who were lined up on the sidewalk after we reached full capacity, they were clear. We don't want anything free from New York. We want to work and contribute to the New York experience. Isn't that the same thing all of our ethnic groups stated? Isn't that what we all say?
Yes.
Then we all come here. Some of us worked in factories. Some of us worked in terrible, deplorable conditions. Some of us worked in building railroads. Some of us worked with fruit stands and food stands. Some of us were cleaners. Some of us were operators. Some of us did some of the basic menial tasks so that one day we can reach the level that we can provide for our family. So what is wrong with them having the right to work? There's no reason the national government is not staying true to the basic principle of the American experience to allow you the right to work. It is unacceptable. It's unacceptable that they cannot work. Two of the most painful experiences for me was a few months ago, speaking to a mother and her children in one of our shelters. She lost her husband due to this crisis. How do you explain that? How do you explain that? And the second